everybody, Dave Nassie here. How you doing? We're easing into today's lesson. It's a really fun inspired by, and what we're going to do is talk about how we can take some really nice clean tone E minor approaches to creating an intro sometimes in songs, and really looking at how this particular artist, and going off of this inspired lesson, how they did it in their context. So we could get some really kind of almost scary sounding E minor tonalities, but they work great over a pentatonic scale, and it's another way to experience jamming while you are practicing. So hey everybody, how you doing? So you know what I'm gonna say, and it's the best part. Click on the link that you see below in that YouTube text box. What do you get if you click that link? Well, you're gonna get a bunch of free information is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a coinciding ebook that you would never find anywhere else. You're gonna have all kinds of scales and chord diagrams in it. Most importantly, you get a free video not available on YouTube. So if you click on that link below, free video, coinciding ebook, all kinds of good information, and that's all you gotta do, one simple click. Let's check it out. We're gonna do some really cool E minor shapes here. I'll spare you some of the theory just to keep it really easy, but this first one I really like. My pinky is going to be on the E note here on the 5th string 7th fret, index finger's on the 4th string 4th fret, and I'm going to get to play everything else totally open. Use a little bit of the tremolo bar. It's nice and haunting as we do that, but that's a E minor chord. That's how I'm going to interpret that. I've got some other tones in there, right? I've got a B string, and I've got, of course, my 3rd here. Right, so I'm looking at all the different ways that I can spread that tonality out, and I've got an F sharp in there. So really that's kind of like a 9 chord, an E minor 9. I'm going to play around with this voicing. I really like this one a lot. This is essentially just like a D major. I've got a D and an F sharp, but then I've got some of these open guys at the end to suspend that sound and make it really, really cool. And I can mix that and arpeggiate it any way that I possibly want with the E chord. And I get this really fun, kind of different progression that we can create. In the very beginning, what I was doing is I was kind of inspired by another artist. And I was hitting some harmonics with my pinky, so that's kind of cool. I'm still fretting everything exactly the same. I've got my middle finger on D, my index on F sharp. I'm going to extend my pinky to hit harmonics on high E string, B, and G, just like that. And when I do that, go right back to that E chord. Kind of a fun way to incorporate some different styles and sounds all in that position. We could take this E chord, we can move it down into the 2nd position. We're going to party over here. So this is one of my favorite darker sounding chords. Again, still really based off of your E minor. I love the way this chord sounds. And I can add some extensions to this chord. Throw that D in there with my middle finger. That's really kind of cool. I can bring my pinky out here to the A note. And sometimes what I'll do with my right hand is I'll get really close to the bridge and I'll rake in an upward motion. And you get kind of a chiming effect out of it. It works really good with a lot of chords, especially that first E chord. Now, as David Taub would say, that's expensive, everybody. That's an expensive sound. There's so many things you can do off an E chord that are really inspiring. You know, you can just take a... I'm just letting that E string ring open and I'm playing single notes, just going 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string, and keeping... Hit that, go up to the next one. Get some fun sounds in there, and I'm not really doing a lot of work. We can also make it sound like this, or voice it a little bit differently, kind of like your C voicing that you would typically play. My root note for the D, of course, is over here, and what I get then, I've got some nice opportunity to extend some notes here on the high E string with my pinky. Take away notes, and sometimes it's going to be a cool way to affect that progression. And again, just changing the D. But I'm not really doing anything different with my progression. They're all the same chords. So within this now, how do we want to maybe kind of let that E ring out and solo a little bit? We can start really simple with phrases that you're comfortable with up here in the E minor pentatonic scale. That's going to look just like this. What I can do here is I can play around in a bluesy fashion, but I'm going to try to fit things like that over my chords. Long vibrato, you know. I think when you talk about this lesson, you know, or to be specific about this lesson, we're having some inspired chord changes. And when we practice, we want to be able to have songs that make us feel like we're experiencing the moment and really getting into it, and not always on a regimented schedule. And when we practice pentatonic licks, you know, it's kind of like watching the paint dry a little bit. If you're going and working on that tone and you're working on getting, you know, things to be achieved exactly the way you want them. When you don't have something to play against, it can be a little bit hard to understand. So in this case, what we could do, we could just let that E ring out, even against a basic E minor chord, right? And I can do my up strum and sound all fancy. And I can wait and be really patient. And then I can start my song. Or my jam, I should say. And we can experience and be inspired by these changes and the things that we do every day in our pentatonic shapes and put them in a specific key against something that you've heard, and that way you have a nice reference point for your practice. So everybody go to the website, nextlevelguitar.com. This was a fun, nice way for me to get started. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I will see you there.